So this is one of these people. On YouTube, there's this genre called what do they call it? Video essays, right? So this person does video essays on like media and literature and stuff, and like movies and stuff like that. So I thought this is kind of interesting. Maybe you guys will think it's boring. Let me know if you think it's boring. But basically, what she's going to talk about is this thing: Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. So what happened with this guy, Joseph Campbell? He was a professor at Harvard back in the 50s, and he wrote this idea. He wrote this book called The Hero's Journey, and his idea was that basically, or actually, she explains it a little bit. So I'm gonna let her explain it, and I'll talk to you about it. Yeah, I like video essays too. Sometimes some of them are dumb though, but I like them. But so I'll let her explain The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, or that I'll kind of give the concept, and then I'll talk to you about it.
Hello there. I actually did see you because I am an all-seeing being. And if you're hallucinating me right now, that just means that you're on your first steps in the hero's journey. You're going to achieve the impossible.
So this person is like a super leftist. One of those people, like those California leftists that whatever. She didn't make it as an actress, so now she's doing this. But I'm just saying, like, or maybe she's gonna be an actress too. Who knows, right? But I'm just saying this is kind of interesting in the sense that, I mean, I want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you guys about the Joseph Campbell thing, and we're going to talk a little bit about these weird leftists and their ideas. So it seems dumb right now, but bear with me. We'll get to some interesting stuff here. Okay.
Rise against all odds, make fame and fortune for generations of offspring to come. Unless your name is Brian. Oh, Brian, suck. I am so sorry. That's just in your DNA. There's never been a hero named Brian. And if there was, I assure you, that was not the real name. I'm sorry, Brian, watching this, but you've been born someone else. Anyways, do you guys know that clouds are made out of marshmallows? Yeah, I know you'd think cotton candy, but no. The store is out of cotton candy, so marshmallows. Anyways, everyone else, you can go off heroing, except you, Brian. You're gonna sit there and think about what you might have done.
I know. They're super weird. I know. They're super cringe and everything. I know. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry for the super cringe of it all, but I'm telling you, we're gonna learn some interesting stuff here. I hope it will be interesting for you, and I think it's worth thinking about. So let's go for it.
Most of us know what the hero's journey, or the monomyth, is, even if you think you don't. It's the idea that all the myths in human history can be simplified down into one common form. The concept was invented and popularized by writer and
No, I highly, highly doubt it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't really think of eschatology that way, really. But I highly doubt he's the Antichrist, bro. Anyway, so this is Joseph Campbell. He's a very influential scholar from the 1950s or so. I think he was at Harvard.
You don't. It's the idea that
Anyway. So this is the thing. So he came up with this idea, the hero's journey, the monomyth. Okay? And the idea is that these heroes, the hero and his journey is a kind of universal myth all around the world. And of course we do find these heroes' journeys in every culture, and we reproduce it all the time in our movies and our books and everything else, right? So he's saying that this is just something that's natural to human nature. It's found in myths all over the world. All right. And he would suggest to you that the Jesus story is another version of the hero's journey. But I'm suggesting to you that no, what's happening here is that Jesus is the hero's journey. All right. And that other cultures have similar stories because humans are just made in a way where we want to have this hero who's going to save us and we worship him. And so that's because it's Jesus, right? We're made to worship Jesus. So other cultures, when they kind of forget about Jesus and they start worshiping false idols, they come up with their own version of the hero's journey because they're coming up with a version of Jesus's story, you know? So I hope that makes sense, but listen, keep going. We're going to listen and then you tell me if you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, she's a total theater kid.
Most of us know what the hero's journey or the monomyth is, even if you think you don't. It's the idea that all the myths in human history can be simplified down into one common form. The concept was invented and popularized by writer and professor Joseph Campbell in his book Hero with a Thousand Faces from 1949. You've probably seen this handy little diagram in an English or screenwriting class. The hero starts at home, crosses the threshold into a larger, strange world, faces trials, and is transformed, eventually returning home a changed person. For example, Star Wars.
So you see the hero, wait, let's hear that again, because it's basically Jesus' story, right? So let's hear that again.
Crosses the threshold into an English or screenwriting class. The hero starts at home, crosses the threshold into a larger, strange.
So the hero starts at home, then he crosses the threshold into a strange land. That's almost like in the Gospels, you might say that's like he started in Galilee, or at least in the Synoptic Gospels, right? He starts in Galilee and then he makes his journey up to Jerusalem, right? So it's the same idea. Anyway.
Strange world, faces trials, and is transformed. Eventually,
he faces trials and then he's transformed, right? Jesus faced his trials, then he was transformed. And then when the hero is transformed, according to Campbell's model, right? He comes back with like this new wisdom and he's got this kind of like power and stuff, you know? So that's which is exactly what happened to Jesus as well. So all I'm saying to you is that the hero's journey is a thing, but it's a thing because of Jesus, not because of some stupid myth thing, whatever they're saying.
Larger, strange world, faces trials, and is transformed, eventually returning home a changed person. For example, Star Wars, one of the most influential films of all time, was literally written by George Lucas with...
Yeah. Lucas... this guy, George Lucas, who's the creator of Star Wars, he studied Campbell's work when he created the story of Luke Skywalker and stuff, or so he claims.
One of the most influential films of all time was literally written by George Lucas with the hero's journey in mind. I didn't have a harp. It's become the gold standard for how to tell the story of a hero. Campbell read thousands of myths from all over the world, all different time periods, and argued that all of them, that's right, all of them, can be boiled down into this series of steps. Well, then,
so you see, wait, let's look at this. Let's look at this
right,
diagram.
All of them can be boiled.
All right, so let's take a look at this diagram. So we have the hero. The hero is at home, and then he gets the call to adventure, right? Which you might, for Jesus, that would be like maybe when he gets called to go into the wilderness and be tempted by the devil, right? And then he gets supernatural aid, right? Which is Jesus received aid from the angels. Then there was some threshold guardians. I don't know what that is. Threshold beginning of transformation. I would say the threshold thing in the Jesus story is, I think it's probably when he goes to Jerusalem, but let's keep going here. Then we have the helper. Maybe that's the disciples coming in, or maybe, no, maybe this is when he came back from the temptation, right? Then now he's at the threshold, which is kind of like, the threshold is like the beginning of the, it's the threshold is like when you open your door, that thing at the bottom, that's the threshold. Okay. So when you cross the threshold, you come into your house or you leave your house. That's what the threshold is, okay? So here, this might be talking about when he came back from being tempted by the devil, all right? That's the beginning of his transformation, right? And then he gets helpers. The helpers are the disciples. So they come in here. The helpers come in here. Then he keeps going. Then he gets a mentor. That might be like, you know, when for example, there was the time when he had the what do you call that thing? The transfiguration, when Moses and Elijah appeared to him on the mountain. So that could be that, the mentor. Then he comes in, challenges and temptations. Then the helper again. I don't know what that is. And then you have the abyss, death and rebirth. Maybe that's the crucifixion. And then the transformation, that's the resurrection. So death and rebirth, right? Death and rebirth. Then you have the atonement. I don't know what that is. The gift of the goddess. That's weird. And then the return. So somehow this, like, obviously none of the myths that Joseph Campbell studied fit this model perfectly, but they all seem to have many of these features. That's why he thinks that they're all basically the same. So anyway, so that's the heroes. Anyway, keep going.
Down into this series of steps. Well, that seems a little reductive, you might think. And to that, I would say the thousands of myths from all over the world, all different time periods, and argued that all of them, that's right, all of them can be boiled down into this series of steps. Well, that seems a little reductive, you might think. And to that, I would say, who are you talking to? Me explaining Joseph Campbell's theory or Joseph Campbell's theory? Because the answer to your question is yes. In his book on the monomyth, Campbell describes the hero as
the man or woman who has been able to battle past his personal and local historical limitations to the generally valid, normally human forms. His visions, ideas, and inspirations come pristine from the primary springs of human life and thought. Hence, they are eloquent, not of the present disintegrating society and psyche, but of the unquenched source through which society is born. He is an eternal man, perfected, unspecific, universal man. He has been reborn.
So this is when the hero, when he returns from his journey, right? And he's been transformed. Now he's like this. Okay? And which is, I mean, this kind of does describe Jesus as well, but obviously it doesn't describe him very well, but it has many of the features of the Jesus story, right? Oh, that's okay, brother. God bless you, man. It's all right. Hope you have a good night. God bless. I'm praying for you. God bless you, man.
Campbell argues that we can take a specific person, whether it's an ancient myth or a modern hero, pull them out of their time and place, and voila, they are all the same. We can take a specific person, whether it's an ancient myth or a modern hero.
Neo fits this model once again, right? He was like living in his little life, whatever. Then he crossed the threshold, like by taking the red pill or whatever it was. Then he had to go through, like, or what was it again? So let's think about Neo in that myth. Oh wait, I went too far. I don't know. Where was that thing where we saw that thing? Did I miss it? I don't know. Oh, it's back here. Wait. Oh shoot. I don't even know where that was. Anyway, there's the thing about the with the actual diagram, right? I can't remember where it was.
Boil down into this.
Oh, here it is. Okay. So now, okay, think about the Neo story from the Matrix, if you've seen it. Man have the need to worship a creator, even the atheists, because God made us to worship him. Amen. Amen. So if you think about Neo's story from the Matrix, right? He was here, then he got called to adventure. That's when Morpheus comes, or whatever, the white rabbit thing, and he's like, oh, follow the rabbit, you know, and then he goes in, he gets supernatural aid. Maybe that's when Trinity came and told him where to go, right? Then he goes down to the Threshold Guardian. That's when he meets Morpheus. Morpheus tells him to take the red pill. Then the beginning of the transformation. Then he finds out about he gets sucked out of the Matrix, and now he's into the real world, right? Then he's going through the challenges and temptations. He gets a helper. Those are those guys, his little team. He gets a mentor. That's Morpheus, right? Then he gets to the challenges and temptations. That's like all his fighting with the people in the story, right? Then the abyss, the death and rebirth. He did get shot by Agent Smith, and then he died, right? But then he came back to life, right? Then he's transformed. Now he's like a superpower Neo, right? And then I don't know what this atonement thing is. I don't know what that is. And I don't know what the gift of the goddess is, but anyway. So you can see it's in a lot of these stories. I wouldn't say every story in the world is based on this or has this exact features, but many of the myths and many of the modern movies, especially action movies, will have this kind of idea.
Or it's an ancient myth or a modern hero. Pull them out of their time and place, and voila, they are all the same. And on the one hand, you can see this as a way in which we're all united in our humanity, that no matter the culture or time, there are certain truths that we uphold. But the universal truths that Campbell suggests just happen to be dripping in his own biases, fantasies, upbringing, culture, and the now extremely outdated white hetero male Christian worldview of someone raised in early 20th century America. In other words,
See, so now this is the thing, man. This is why these people get me mad because her whole argument against Campbell's thing, right, is that first of all, she's trying to say that it's reductive, but she's not like really looking at what he's trying to say. It's not that every single thing is exactly like this pattern, but they all do seem to follow the pattern to a certain extent, and he's right. And then she's saying that, oh, it's all because of his white hetero cis like Christian worldview, whatever, right? So that's just what all these leftists say, right? It's like if you believe that, it's not because you just believe it and it's true and you have a good argument. It's because you were raised in this culture, or it's because of your white heteronormative cisgender weird whatever thing, you know? That's what they do, but they don't really like explain how this guy's doing that. Can you explain how exactly Campbell did that? She doesn't do that. She's just saying that. She's just saying, oh, it's because of his white heteronormative cisgender
these
thing.
fantasies, upbringing, culture, and the now extremely outdated white hetero male Christian worldview of someone raised in early 20th century America. In other words, woof. In his writing about the history of humanity reciting stories, Campbell uses words like normal and generally valid, as if those are completely agreed upon values throughout all of time. They're not. He acts as though he's above the influence of
Wait, what?
normal and generally
So this was, I don't know. Is she trying to say that the fact that he uses these terms means that his argument is not valid? Generally, battle passes personal and local historical limitations to generally valid, normally human forms. Not too sure what that's all about, but this is their weak way of critiquing this guy. Like, come on, man, is this your critique? He uses these words, therefore he's wrong. What are you
exciting
saying?
stories. Campbell uses words like normal and generally valid, as if those are completely agreed upon values throughout all of time. They're not. He acts as though he's above the influence of time and place, that his opinions are objectively universal and essential. They're not. He claims.
Is he making opinions? I don't know. Like, it's very weird how she's not really pointing out his argument and pointing out actual problems with his argument. She's just like, oh, generally he acts like this and he says stuff like that. So da 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 da. You know, this is a terrible critique. I'll be sure not to use words next time I try to make it. I know. It's like he used the words. He used these words, therefore he's wrong. Like, come on, dude. You can do better than that, lady. This lady is actually kind of smart, but
his opinions are objectively universal and essential. They're not. He claims that a hero is perfected, unspecific, universal, as if heroes have been made on an assembly line for thousands of years, instead of each saying something specific about the time and place they originated.
no, I don't think. See, Campbell's not trying to deny that those myths and those legends say something specific about the time and place that they're from and their culture. But when he says that they like what he was saying, this thing, eternal man, perfected, unspecific, universal man, he has been reborn. It's because that's what the hero has become. The hero is this thing that everyone admires. Like, you know, he's the hero. He won the day. He saved the princess or whatever it is. So we all kind of have this, it is kind of universal where people all kind of have this idea when we read a story, there's a hero and he's like the one that we look up to and we're hoping he wins and stuff. So that's all he's saying.
Specific, universal, as if heroes have been made on an assembly line for thousands of years, instead of each saying something specific about the time and place they originated from. A third parenthetical. Campbell often assures us that every myth has one objective reading and point of view. But
this is this thing called the panopticon. So this is why Jeremy Bentham, right? So he came up with this idea of a prison. The reason why the prison is effective is because they don't know the prisoners are all around this thing in the middle. And they know that the people in the middle can look at them, that they can see them. But they can't see them. They can't see the people in the middle to see whether they're looking at them. So they know that the people can be looking. They might be looking at them right now, or they might not. They don't know that, right? But they know that at any time the people can, they have the ability to see them, right? So that Bentham thought that this would be the most effective prison because you don't like, because nobody has enough staff to like watch everybody all the time. But if you have this situation where everybody thinks they might be being watched, they always have to be kind of on point because otherwise they might get in trouble, right?
Every myth has one objective reading and point of view. But even with a passing knowledge of Western mythology, you know that is absolutely not true. Odysseus, one of the most famous mythic heroes, was a clever hero to the Greeks, but to the Romans,
what?
Something specific have been made, perfected, unspecific, universal, as if heroes have been made on an assembly line for thousands of years, instead of each saying something specific about the time and place they originated from. A third parenthetical. Campbell often assures us that every myth has one objective reading and point of view. But even with a passing knowledge of Western mythology, you know that is absolutely not true.
No, because he's not trying to say that everybody. What? Anyway, Anyway, listen to her. So what she's trying to say now is that Campbell thinks everyone should see these myths the same way, but that's never what he was trying to say. He's not trying to say that everyone is going to see this myth the same exact way. That's ridiculous. What he's trying to say is that they all come from that kind of same origin source point within the human nature. Anyways, now she's going to talk about Odysseus. Okay, so this is like Ulysses, sometimes they call him Odysseus. Ulysses is a Greek myth, but for other people, they had also adopted this myth.
Western mythology, you know that is absolutely not true. Odysseus, one of the most famous mythic heroes, was a clever hero to the Greeks, but to the Romans, he was a deceitful villain, even calling him Cruel Odysseus. The Greek playwright Sophocles portrayed Odysseus in completely different ways, even within his own plays. A commonsensical realist in Ajax, but a scheming sophist in Philoctetes.
So, no, once again, like she's not understanding what this guy is trying to do. What's his name? This guy, Campbell. And so that's why she doesn't get what he's trying to say. But anyway, the thing is, like, this hero journey, it can take on all kinds of different forms in different people's minds, but it has the same origin point, you know?
Which one is the objective truth of the myth of Odysseus? Ironically, one of the actual consistent themes of the Odyssey is that there is no objective retelling of events. It is the storyteller who is motivated to tell the tale in a specific way, for a specific reason, to a specific audience, with a specific goal in mind. And although Joseph Campbell likes to see himself as the ultimate objective voice speaking for all of humanity, at the end of the day, he too is simply a storyteller, motivated to tell his tale in a specific way, for a specific reason, with a specific goal in mind.
Of course he is. Like, why is this guy's not trying to deny that people tell the story differently for their different purposes, you know? I don't think he's I mean, I don't know. It's been a while since I read that, but anyway, let's
of
see.
his biases and motives intact. The way that he strips myths of culture and intent mirrors the way that he wishes to strip himself of culture and intent. A perfect man, unbeholden to the
Again, he's not stripping them of culture and intent. What he's saying is that all these different cultures, they have this one singular thing, which is part of human nature, which we all kind of follow, and they create these myths in different ways. He's not suggesting that they're all the same exact story. Like Odysseus is not the same as Gilgamesh, right? But he's saying that they all have a hero's journey, and they all have a hero's journey because it's something that's inherent in human nature.
timeline of history. A hero, he might say, about himself. But here's the objective truth.
He didn't say that about himself. This isn't not an autobiography, it's a biography. It's not about him.
Campbell is very much beholden to his time and place, as are the stories that we tell. And the journey of understanding someone else's perspective is much more worthwhile. One that has the real danger of challenging our own point of view and assumptions about the world, but has the potential to shape us into a better person than who we were before we stepped outside our front door. It probably helps to understand Joseph Campbell if I tell you that he was a raging misogynist who believed women could not be heroes, that they're just prizes at the end for the hero to be won, and the closest they can come is by giving birth. And also, he taught at an all-women's college, telling them all that they can't be heroes. And when I tell you that his ideas have shaped the way that we live, and especially shaped the worldview of men who are told to see themselves as a hero of their own mythic tale, I mean it. But hey, don't take my word for it, take his.
Well, wait. So wait, because she's trying to put this is the thing, man. That's what these people do. Anyway, I shouldn't have maybe brought this. I don't know. Maybe this is not the best way to explain this stuff, but because she's trying to critique him as being a misogynist, but she's totally like, I mean, I can't believe how badly she just totally misrepresented what he's trying to say and what he's trying to do here. But it's interesting that he taught at an all women's college at some point. So, okay, I don't think he ever said that women can't be heroes, or maybe he did, but it's kind of true if you think about the way what he's talking about here. The idea of the hero's journey, it's a masculine journey, right? But the idea that a woman couldn't perform that, or like a character who's a woman couldn't do that same journey, I don't think he ever suggested that. I don't know though.
And the
Maybe.
closest they can come is by giving birth. And also, he taught at an all women's college, telling them all that they can't be heroes. And when I tell you that his ideas have shaped the way that we live, and especially shaped the worldview of men who are told to see themselves as a hero of their own mythic tale, I mean it. But hey, don't take my word for it, take his. All women have to do is stop looking at the boys and wondering whether they're in competition with them. Just realize what effect you're having on the boys. It came to me at Sarah Lawrence, at the time an all-female college. I was teaching these courses on mythology, and at the end of my last year, there this woman comes in, sits down and says, "Well, Mr. Campbell, you've been talking about the hero, but what about the woman?" I said, "The woman's the mother of the hero. She's the goal of the hero's achieving. She's the protectress of the hero. She's this, she's that. What more do you want?" She said, "I want to be the hero." So I was glad that I was retiring that year and not going to teach anymore. Oh, women, can you believe it? In Stories About Stories, writer and professor Brian Atterbury points out the limits of Campbell's mythic system.
In The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Campbell makes much of the Navajo story about the twin war gods who go on a quest for their father, the sun. They fit his pattern. He says nothing about Coyote, who doesn't. Other Navajo figures get turned into accessories to the hero's tale. Spider-Woman, for instance, the great weaver who created everything, is dismissed as a grandmotherly little dame who lives underground, and whose function is primarily to help the twin heroes.
I cannot stress
Yeah, well, in that story, that is true. That is what her function was in that story. Now, you may say, I don't know, like you may suggest that, oh, that's something interesting about that their kind of creator god is like a female or something. That's kind of interesting. Whatever. That doesn't like nothing that other writer said actually disproves what Campbell's saying. You know, Campbell's just saying that these hero stories appear in practically every culture all over the
and whose
world.
function is
So that's what they
primarily
did.
to help the twin heroes.
I cannot stress how much this little graph has shaped the world around us. It's used in Hollywood today as the only objective template for every story. Pretty much every book on screenwriting recycles a version of his hero's journey template.
Hmm. See now she's being reductive and simplistic, right? Like the idea that okay, so this is the hero's journey.
Pretty much every
Is this also the hero's journey? I guess kind of, or yeah, I guess this kind of is. This is another version of it. That's true. This one is.
book on screenwriting recycles.
But look at this one now. Is this one another version of the hero's journey? Why? Why would I say that? Why is this another version of the hero's journey? Why woman? What are you talking about? And then look at this one now.
Of his hero's.
This is the 3-act structure that we see in many movies today. Almost all the movies today have this kind of structure, you know, for their plot and stuff. But why is this the hero's journey? Why is this I guess people will try to say that too, but I don't know. Like, why is this the hero's journey? Why?
Journey
Anyway.
template. And why wouldn't they? Campbell asserts with every other breath that he's figured it out. He's given you the key to storytelling, which maybe explains why sometimes stories from Hollywood feel so samey. Executives, producers, all the way down to your professors and fellow creators are giving feedback and notes based off of this guy's ideas from the 1950s. And I don't know if you know the 1950s, but it doesn't take long to figure out that maybe he might have missed the mark on a thing or two. And his influence didn't just stop at Hollywood storytelling. Campbell's ideas affect.
She thinks the fact that this guy is from the 50s means that he might have missed the mark. That fact, the fact that he's from that period of time in our past, means that he's wrong. I don't know what she just
but
said.
It doesn't take long to figure out. Are giving feedback and notes based off of this guy's ideas from the 1950s. And I don't know if you know the 1950s, but it doesn't take long to figure out that maybe he might have missed the mark on a thing or two. And his influence didn't just stop at Hollywood storytelling. Campbell's ideas affect our everyday lives, what we're allowed to become, how we see ourselves, how others treat us. You can see
this is where I got the picture for today. First of all, this is so why is this like, what does this have to do with this? So is she trying to say that because this guy Jesse James West is doing this, that's something to do with the hero's journey and Joseph Campbell? Why would I think that? This is just some guy on YouTube. He's like a fitness influencer and he's rolling with Andrew Tate or something. Why would I think of this as part of the hero's journey? Why would I think that? What are you talking about?
See ourselves, how others treat us.
This is where I got the picture from the
how we see ourselves.
This is where I got the picture for the thumbnail. But look at his hand, dude. This is so wicked, man.
Others treat us. You can see his influence on everything, from the current stripping of women and pregnant people's bodily autonomy to the fantasy narrative that
stripping of women and pregnant people's. Like, this is how these people in California talk now. Are there pregnant non-women? The pregnant people, she goes. I guess she's talking about women who are now they're trans men and then they get pregnant. I guess that's what she's saying.
How others treat us. You can see his influence on everything, from the current stripping of women and pregnant people's bodily autonomy.
From the current stripping of women and pregnant people's bodily autonomy. She's talking about like the fact that the idea that abortion is illegal now in many of the US states. She's talking about that. the stripping of women and pregnant people's reproductive
His
rights.
influence on everything from the current stripping of women and pregnant people's bodily autonomy to the fantasy narrative that a good guy with a gun is going to show up and save us all in a very
No, I know. Not everybody in California talks like that. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to like hate on Cali. I love the Californians. I love to go there. Actually, it's so beautiful.
narrative that a good guy with a gun is going to show up and save us all in a very real and tangible way. He has limited our imagination of who and what makes a hero.
Okay. Anyway, all right. I'm done. That's dumb. I'm done. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. I hope that our discussion was fruitful and you learned something there. I hope. I think a lot of you already knew a lot of that stuff, but anyway, we can move on now.
Okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike and Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shills. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike and Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.